I'm just going to put that right there, and that way I can just pick up everything you say, just right there, and we can just talk. Yeah, Denise, I guess, is the person who emailed me about.
She's my next door neighbor.
That's your next door neighbor? Yeah. She emailed me again this morning. She was all embarrassed about telling me that you were Korea instead of World War II. She said she just got that mixed up a little bit.
I knew that she knew better than that.
Yeah. She just typed the wrong thing there. So tell me just sort of about your, where are you from? Where's home?
Well, I was born and raised in Prescott, Arizona.
Uh-huh.
And my story begins January 21st, 1944, when I turned 18, and I had just started my last semester of high school. And I was the president and valedictorian of my class, so I wanted to stay and graduate. So if you were in your final semester, you could get a deferment. So I applied and got deferred, and I graduated on a Friday night, and Monday morning I was on the bus before dark, before daylight, going to Phoenix for my pre-induction physical, and that just happened to be D-Day in Europe, the day I went for my pre-induction physical.
Wow.
And the expectation was that we'd be called in right away. They'd be needing warm bodies, but I went all summer, June, July, August, and never got called. So a buddy and I went down and volunteered around the earliest part of September of '44. And we finally went in September the 23rd of '44. And we both got sent to Camp Roberts, California, which was an infantry replacement training center. And I just missed going to the Battle of the Bulge. We were supposed to have 15 weeks of infantry training, and they were running real short on cannon fodder during the Battle of the Bulge. And they took the oldest class, which had 14 weeks training, and flew them to Europe.
Wow.
And a few days later they took the next class that had 13 weeks of training, and a few days more they took the 12th week of training. At that time we had 11, and it looked like in a matter of days that we were going to end up in Europe in the snow and the Battle of the Bulge.
That's the Bulge, yeah.
But luckily things broke, and we actually got to finish our 15 weeks, even though the ones ahead of us only got 14, 13, and 12.
Right.
So
you actually, did you go to Europe?
I didn't go to Europe.
Never ended up going to Europe because...
I would rather have gone to Europe than to the Pacific. But,
certainly.
But not necessarily to go to the Battle of the Bulge and in the snow. And
so instead they sent you to the Pacific.
So I had applied for officer candidate school, and I had passed all the interviews and the tests, and when the rest of the bunch graduated, I stayed over on orders for Fort Benning, Georgia. And the last thing they did was a physical, which didn't make sense to me. It looks like that would have been earlier on instead.
Yes, sir.
But I couldn't pass the eye exam. So I got scratched from going to Fort Benning and ended up at Fort Ord in Fort Lewis, Washington, and then troop ships from Seattle to Oahu to Saipan to Okinawa. And they landed on Okinawa on April 1st, April Fool's Day of all things. And the battle had been going on for 50 days before I got there. We were sent in as replacements,
This is 1945?
1945.
April 1st, 1945, okay.
And luckily, the 7th Division that I was assigned to, which is this hourglass
Yes, sir.
badge, was in Division Reserve for 10 days. They had been in combat for 40-some days, and then they pulled them back for a rest. And all of us replacements got added while they were back from the line, which was a good thing to meet the people and get acquainted and a little more training and zeroed in.
Right,
The worst thing is to go into combat as a replacement
right,
where they don't have time to
to train you.
no introduction. You don't
Right.
even know who's who or what's
Exactly.
going on. And,
Exactly, yeah.
but
So you were a replacement in 1945, and you were at Okinawa. So I
Right.
guess you saw action pretty quickly.
well, we had about 10 days
Uh-huh,
before we went into combat, and then
right,
once we did, I lasted for 32 days and nights. In combat, nights are
mm-hmm,
almost indistinguishable
mm-hmm.
from days as far as
So you were infantry, you carried a rifle?
right. And an interesting thing was a live photographer named Eugene Smith was assigned to the 184th Infantry,
Mm-hmm,
and he chose this guy here to follow for 24 hours to do a documentary for Life magazine.
Terry Moore?
Terry Moore was the soldier,
Mm-hmm,
and I was within football field distance of all the pictures that they took of him.
mm-hmm.
But this was my first day of combat that these pictures were taken, and that could just as well have been me
Right,
with a Garand as Terry Moore with a BAR. But
wow. So June of 1945, this is,
well, that's when the Life magazine article.
right, that was,
It
yeah,
was
that's
actually-
when the article came
It
out.
was actually May 21st that all these pictures were taken.
So was he in your unit?
The same regiment,
Same regiment? Okay.
different battalion, but just right close together. And
So what I'm seeing here, the terrain and everything like this is pretty much
the rain, the mud,
where you were, yeah.
this was a village of Yanabaru on the east side of, most all the fighting on Okinawa was on the southern quarter.
And your mission was to secure Okinawa. That was the main mission.
Well, the main objective was to attack Japan, which they had scheduled for November,
Uh-huh.
and Okinawa was to be the staging area for we were to have airfields, harbors, munitions and supplies
Right.
to be cleared through Okinawa to supply the landing on Japan. So that's why Okinawa was so strategic and why we were so happy to see the atomic bombs end it all without having to
Having
land on Japan.
without continuing the ground war.
Right.
Because you were getting your taste of ground war at Okinawa, right?
Well, Okinawa was the largest battle of the Pacific.
Right.
It's the only battle where we had an army. And the army consisted of two corps. The 24th Army Corps had 4 divisions, and the 5th Marine Corps had 3 divisions.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 7 divisions, about 105,000 ground troops committed to Okinawa.
Right. And you were wounded at Okinawa?
On the 32nd day,
Yes, sir.
the day it was declared secured.
Right. It wasn't secure as
I
far
always
as you
said it
were.
wasn't quite secure.
Well, not as far as you were concerned. Tell me about that. What happened?
Well, an interesting thing that most people don't realize is that our objective with the Japs was to shoot for the head or the torso and kill them.
Mm-hmm.
But the Japanese had a policy, particularly for snipers, and if you weren't an immediate threat to them, that they shot for the feet and legs and tried to wound you rather than kill you.
Right.
And their theory was that you had to be fed, doctored, nursed, treated, transported, and that you were more of a liability as a casualty than if they shot you dead and somebody stepped up and took your place. So I was eternally grateful that I was out in the open. He could have shot me anywhere he wanted to,
Right.
and my head or my body was a bigger target than shooting me in the foot, but it was his choice to, and he shot another guy in the leg at the same time and
Mm-hmm. He got you in the foot?
got me in the right foot.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a guy in that outfit that wouldn't have happily traded places, because they knew I was heading stateside,
Right.
and all they had to look forward to was getting ready to land on Japan,
Yeah.
which would have been worse than Iwo Jima, worse than
Certainly.
Okinawa.
Certainly. Now the 7th Amphibious Infantry Division, that
Right.
was your division, right? When you landed at Okinawa, were you in like Higgins boats type things, or what type of craft did you land on?
Oh, I'm not sure what they called them. They weren't the assault type. It was more just what they hauled.
Right. Kind of like in this picture right here. Is that sort of like that?
Well, that was the assault landing.
Yeah.
These were bigger
I see.
boats, like they would land a tank or
Yeah. Okay.
Amtrak or something.
Right. 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 So then you were wounded, and then was that the end of your overseas service, or?
Well, I spent another month on the way back. The first night was on a field hospital on Okinawa,
Uh-huh.
and then the next day they flew me to Guam,
Yes.
and I spent about a week in the Naval Hospital on Guam, and then they flew me to Oahu, and I spent a couple of weeks at Schofield Barracks Hospital on Oahu, and then finally ended up in Modesto, California for a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
So
you were the typical soldier who came right just straight out of high school and the fast track to war, and
minimal training.
minimal training and the fast track to war.
Right.
In those 32 days, what are your strongest memories? I mean, those 32, I guess you were a scared young man, right?
I think we were all scared to death.
Right.
And
Because Japanese were not nice.
that's putting it mildly.
Yeah, they didn't play nice. Not like the Germans, from what my education tells me, the Germans for the most part, they played by the rules. Japanese didn't play by the rules.
Well, the worst part to me
Yeah.
was that at sundown we were ready to call it a day,
Yeah.
and the Japanese did almost all of their counterattacking at night,
Right.
and we did not win the war
Right.
because we were any better,
Yeah.
because they were good soldiers.
Sure.
Am I gonna mess up your flow if I come and meet you? Real
No,
quick?
come on in. You must be Denise.
Come in.
Hey, I had
How are you?
Hey, okay.
You doing all right? No, our flow is just fine.
really.
Come
okay,
on
good.
in.
Hey.
I'm visiting our Korean war. Excuse me. Our.
Oh, well,
Did you get my reply this morning?
Yeah,
I
I did.
replied, yeah.
He said I was hysterical, not historical. Hysterical. Okay, now Al. Okay, Al said, okay, I called Mom. She didn't know that Dad was a chaplain, you know, so I go, Al's gonna know what he did. And he goes, honey, your dad was the charter member, like a definite article. Not an charter member, a charter member. So, and then I ran into James Cooper, like the day after at the grocery store. Ooh, this all came together because we didn't pay our gas bill. I told you that one wasn't working, but I didn't tell you one. But my husband was in the hospital and I found the gas bill like 2 days ago. Okay, so anyway, not the charter member. Okay, then James goes, yeah, him and 15 or 20 other guys started it. Okay, the VFW.
Right. Now tell me, how do I have my email? Your dad's name was
George Webb.
George Webb. Okay.
George Webb Agency down the
Right.
street.
Oh yeah, certainly, very aware. And Al's son has that agency now, right? Tom Hansen Agency, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so weird because
I'm learning all kinds of things here.
yeah, he took my dad's business, and my brother, well, he come Al's business. Well, Al, yeah. So one is to the other dad, the other is to the other dad.
Right.
And then my brother killed himself. So that's just not fair. Okay. So like the IRS and alcohol, yeah.
Yeah.
Bad move. Anyway, but yeah, so like they were so Al, but Dad wanted them to both be partners.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but then he died. He fell off his horse and cracked his skull and died immediately.
Oh no. How long ago was that?
87.
In '87?
Yeah, so he didn't have a chance to have it drawn up, but
Yeah.
it's good. I mean, Tommy's going with it. It's really
How old
good.
was your dad when he died?
60.
So he fell off a horse?
He did. It was a trail ride, and Tommy was there, and it was for Veterans Day in November. And my mom, like, she would always go when they would go to the co-op. She would get him new reins right when he was checking out, because he'd go, I don't need new reins. I don't need new reins. But Dad needed new reins, okay, because he pulled back. They was going back, and the horse, on your way back, they always want to hurry. So he pulled back, reins broke, instant. Isn't that sad?
That's very sad.
It is sad. But anyway, yeah, so he's not the charter member, he's a charter member. And Al,
There's a lot of characters over that VFW. I need to go see Al. I really do. I haven't seen Al since his wife died,
Oh, yeah.
which was just 3 weeks ago.
Right, and all the
And-
kids came from
and-
everywhere. He has 7
Right.
of them.
Oh yeah, he has lots of
There
kids.
was one picture in there. I wanted to
Yeah.
show you.
Also, but to answer you, the VFW was started in the 60s. Is what because he wondered. He thought it would have been before, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe the 50s. But I was born.
Are you a member of the VFW?
I'm a life member, but I don't go
You don't
to.
go over there.
Doesn't go over there? Okay.
But I was born in 1960, so probably I'm behind that too. Because Dad wasn't motivated. And then I was born, and then he decided to start the VFWs. Really kind of the way I see it. It's
I
another
would have
thing.
thought they'd had one here long before that.
Yeah, but no.
What I
No.
wanted to show you was that
Oh,
picture.
check him out. This is all his PR. I told you he was a happening guy.
You're right.
I was born and raised in Arizona,
Uh-huh.
and I had seen the Pacific and the Atlantic, but I was blown away when I saw all the ships, far as you could see for miles and miles and miles. Okinawa was the second biggest armada in history.
Right.
The one at D-Day in Europe was the only one that had more ships.
Should I stay? Should I stay and watch and be all quiet?
No, yeah, you can stay.
Girl-like?
You can stay. We've already got him past the war, and we've got his foot shot and everything already. But I'm going to ask him more about.
Did you see his props? Oh, well, yeah.
Not all of them.
Really? Because some guy didn't need them anymore.
We haven't got to that one yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to borrow a lot of this stuff from you and
Okay.
then return it to you on Wednesday to
Did you
help
see-
educate me.
Did you see the big honking book yet?
No, not
Well,
yet.
don't break into his house because he's got a weapon. Okay?
Now, is this where you were, Yanabara? Yanabaru, excuse me. Yanabaru,
This is when I went into combat.
right?
32 days later, I was heading down here.
Is this where you got your foot shot down
And
here?
that's about 8 miles.
Okay.
So we averaged about a quarter of a mile
A
a
day.
day. Of course, some days we didn't make any, and some we made more, but
Now, Kutaka Island, is that right?
Kutaka,
Kutaka Island, why is that circled?
They loaded us up in these landing craft at Gushikan, and we went out and took that.
Oh, okay. I got you. So you were part of that. That was before you got shot.
Right.
Okay.
You got shot?
Got shot in the foot.
Oh man.
Thus
Purple Heart.
Purple Heart.
Cool. I got Dad's Purple Heart.
And what else we got here? I read that.
This is one of the ones that means the most.
Oh, is this your map? Your silk map? Or a silk flag?
Silk
Oh my goodness, it's a Japanese flag. Okay, so tell me the story on this.
Okay, each individual soldier
Wow.
Uh-huh.
carried one of these. That was a private individual. The Japanese battalion had just plain flags like this.
Right.
Oh.
But each individual soldier carried these. It folded up in their helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that this is sort of like a service record
Oh.
that shows where they were, what they did.
So whoever
I've always
this
wondered-
belonged to, this is his, he wrote on here his own record.
Right. And
Okay.
I've always wanted to get this translated. I'd love to,
Oh,
to
yeah.
know what all this says.
So what A&M students could...
And then,
But the reason for the holes is
Right.
I shot him in the head.
uh-huh.
It ruined the, if I'd known
you
that,
hold
I
it so you can
aimed
see
a
it
little
better?
lower and not ruin his flag. But
So when you shot him in the head, those are the holes. This was in his helmet.
right. That way it kept it clean and dry
Yeah.
up inside their helmet.
Right.
Well, I didn't know that part.
So you're learning something too.
Yeah. Well, you didn't tell the homeschool. I mean, you know, it was less graphic for the little kid. He talked to our homeschooler.
Yeah. My goodness gracious.
Wow.
Golly, that is a.
Ooh, like your ring. See your ring?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, James Avery.
Oh yeah. See, we're all born again over here, and we Holly, like, hey, got all that going.
And this
on.
is just. Where'd you get that?
That was a battalion flag.
Oh, that was battalion flag.
This was the individual soldiers.
Right.
And this is the collar insignia from a Japanese PFC one-star private. That was on their collar of their uniform.
Hey, do you get a Purple Heart and one in this too, or what?
I got 3 of them. I only got shot once, but
Oh, other stuff.
the Army wanted to make sure that I had a Purple Heart. So
Oh, okay. The same injury.
These two things went in here, right?
not the big flag,
Not the big one, the small one,
just the little one.
the individual one. What's in here? Do we have any pictures of you?
A few
Are they in here? Where are they?
towards the back. There's,
Okay.
I was standing right by the photographer. He
Yeah.
took this picture for Saturday Evening Post.
Right. Show me some pictures. Oh, here we go. Here's some snapshots.
So I remember with Al's propaganda, you were trying to get them. You had to turn it sideways for the camera. So can you guys get the flag? Or
Yeah. I'll be
Just
able to take pictures. We're gonna take this with us to the shoot, and then I'm also gonna take pictures of it also. Okay.
Some more pictures.
Are these all you?
This was in basic training.
Okay.
Those pictures. This guy was a cartoonist for
Uh-huh.
several different national magazines, and he was in our outfit. He had me pose for this.
Really?
His name was Virgil Parch, but he penned. This is probably the best one I've got.
There you are.
Well, you were trying to have a show without Holly.
I know I have a show. I have a show every week. I would have found him, but not without your help, maybe.
Oh, that's right. No, I'm just kidding.
Up goes the flag at Okinawa Hill. Were you near this ceremony, or?
This was right after I got shot. I was farther down on the. This is the top of the hill, and the sniper was in a cave, and I was down at the foot of the hill.
So this is you here?
Later,
Is that you?
Yeah.
You're a corporal there. What rank were you when you finished?
Buck sergeant.
Buck sergeant? There you are. Okay. One more strike.
Is Betty for a walk?
This was my brother that was in the
Oh, she's
Navy Air Corps.
Yeah,
So you
I'm
haven't
gonna be able
been-
to scan these pictures.
I am interrupted, but to Al's house, you know, they knocked the other house next door down.
Right.
I
right,
didn't know
right.
because that's
Gave us
why.
plenty of parking now.
Yeah, I didn't go over there because I thought 7 kids, there's nowhere for me to park. But yeah.
Now we haven't even talked about your bicycling yet, but is one of those people you?
This one.
The third one, you think? No, that doesn't look like you. I mean, it's the second one. So the second one?
That's
The third one?
third one.
Okay. Well, it didn't have glasses on. It didn't look like. Maybe it does, and I just can't see.
Probably did because I was blind without him.
I came next door when I learned that he was going to go as far as around the world. I had the video camera when he drove up. He didn't even know. Right, Holly? Was that your first
That
time?
was the 20,000 mile mark.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of good.
So I went,
That's a lot of
let's
good
get it, let's
pictures.
get it.
What else we got here?
Japanese bayonet.
Yeah.
And how'd you acquire that?
Ooh.
The owner didn't need it. And this is our World War I Army bayonet.
Right.
It's very, very similar, except we didn't have the
This is
hook.
a World War I bayonet?
Right.
How'd you acquire that?
I can't remember where I got it,
Okay.
but we used a 10-inch.
Right.
This is a 16, but we used a 10-inch bayonet. And fortunately, I never had to. I mean, we fixed bayonets, but I never had to stick anybody. That is a genuine card-carrying hand grenade.
It ain't a fake.
This is one of ours, right?
Bars.
And
It's a real one, but it won't anymore.
It doesn't have the powder in it. It's a real one, but it doesn't.
here.
One of the reasons I show this is
There's your dog tags.
number one. I'll
There's
tell
your
you about that in a
shovel.
minute.
That's your shovel.
One is the weight. That throwing these suckers is not like throwing a tennis ball.
No. Uh-uh.
And
What?
the
It's about what, 3 or 4 pounds? Probably about 3 pounds?
couple of pounds anyway.
Yeah, yeah, 2 pounds.
And the other thing is that
Okay, me, I'm a girl, but let's see.
that's,
Looks like
that's
big
something
guy.
else. In the movies, they always do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have any teeth there.
Yeah, that's where you always see you going, oh, like that.
Do that with stud light.
You don't do that. You take it like this.
Pull it out.
Might as well. What are you gonna do? Shoot at the same time? You got 2 hands.
This is
But
the,
John Wayne did.
Oh yeah, they were probably injured with one.
this is the second most important thing that we had. Rifle was always number one.
Uh-huh. But your shovel was number
This
2.
is called an entrenching tool.
Entrenching tool. Yeah.
Also known
Shovel.
as the shovel.
Right, entrenching tool. That's right.
This way it makes a pick
Exactly.
and straightened out makes a shovel.
Makes a shovel. You tighten it there like that.
Lock it in place.
Yeah, no, I went to high school in a military school in San Antonio, TMI, and every year we would go out on maneuvers at Camp Bullis, the high school maneuvers, and we had shovels that looked a lot like this, as a matter of fact. Excuse me, entrenching tools that looked a lot like this. That would do the job, wouldn't it? So tell me about bicycling. And well, no, wait. Before you tell me about bicycling, we need to get you home from the war. You came home and then you were done with the military.
Well, that was in about a year.
Okay.
I told you I went from Okinawa to Guam to Oahu to ended up in
Where'd you
Modesto.
recuperate? In the hospital in Guam? Is that where you did most of your recuperation?
Most of the time was in Modesto, California.
Okay. Okay.
An Army hospital there. And then I had 3 different surgeries, one on Okinawa, one on Oahu, and a final one at Modesto.
So you get all we've heard is you got shot in the foot. Was it pretty severe injury? I mean, did you get your foot pretty mangled up?
Well,
Which foot?
right foot.
Yeah.
the night that I spent in the hospital in Okinawa, they wanted to amputate the front half. It was pretty well cut in two and flopping, and if I had been unconscious, I think they'd have gone ahead and
Yeah.
chopped it off.
Oh,
But you were there to give your opinion.
oh,
But they wanted me to sign a release, and I wouldn't sign it.
well, no, you got a bicycle twice around the world.
Right.
And I said, what's the worst case scenario if we leave it? And he said, well, we can always cut it off later. I said, that's good enough for me.
Oh, yeah.
Let's give it a try.
Uh-huh.
And sure enough, they patched it up, and
Yeah.
much better off
Oh, yeah.
with my toes, and I'd have been club-footed if I'd have had only the heel instead of the front half of my foot.
Right. Right.
But then I got sent to San Antonio,
Fort Sam?
Fort Sam, and stayed there about 7 months before I finally got discharged.
Right.
And when I got out, I went to the University of Arizona in Tucson,
Mm-hmm.
which one of the things I'm proud of is that I'd been out of school for 2 years,
Right.
but I was able to finish and get my degree cum laude in 3 years.
Wow.
So I hear about these Aggies and their 5th-year seniors and stuff. Even taking 4 years would have been
Right.
normal, but
Right. And what was your career? What did you get? What?
well, I studied business and public administration,
Yes, sir.
and I ended up going to work for the Social Security Administration.
Mm-hmm. In Arizona?
Actually, I was living in Dallas.
In Dallas?
While at Tucson, I met my
Honey.
honey, who was from Mississippi,
Uh-huh.
and I was from Arizona, so I couldn't talk her into staying in Tucson,
Right.
and she couldn't talk me into going to Mississippi.
Right.
So we got to the map,
Went to
Wow.
Dallas.
chose Dallas,
Wow.
Texas is halfway in between.
I gotta interject. He calls his wife Blossom sometimes.
Blossoms.
Mississippi Blossom.
Magnolia blossom. That is.
Isn't that sweet?
It's wonderful.
I love it.
What's your name? I'm sorry, you told me.
Betty Elizabeth.
Okay, Elizabeth. So you went to Dallas and you worked for the Social Security
So
Administration?
when I first went to Dallas, I got a job as an accountant with Firestone Tire and Rubber Company.
Uh-huh.
And in the meantime, I'd already taken the civil service exam. And the first job that I took with Social Security was in Tyler. But it was to be for Longview. They were opening a new office in Longview. So I worked in Tyler for 3 months until Longview was ready. Then Longview for about a year. Then I got promoted and sent to San Angelo for nearly 4 years. Then I got promoted to assistant manager in Austin and went to Austin, and then they made me district manager in Bryan. So then we moved here in 1957.
I see.
Been here for soon be 49 years. I was manager here for 27 years
Mm-hmm.
and retired July 1st of 84, so I've been retired 21 years.
I see. I see. Wow. And you like to ride a bike, evidently. How many miles have you ridden?
January 4th, I turned the 50,000 mile mark.
Is that right?
And the story behind that was when I turned 55, 25 years ago,
Uh-huh.
I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes.
Uh-huh.
And I did not want to take insulin shots, and I wasn't even really anxious to take any pills.
Right.
So Dr. Hall and I decided we'd try diet and exercise.
Uh-huh.
So I've been real strict about my diet for the last 25 years.
Yes, sir.
And
You look in great shape.
Eats
Good.
better than me. Baked fish.
Oh, my
All the
God.
stuff you're supposed to do.
Yes.
Man.
So I started, and my normal bike ride is 12 miles. I leave here, go out through the campus, George Bush to the library, through the research park, and back here in about 52 minutes, and it takes 12 miles.
How often do you do that?
4 or 5 times a week.
Really?
So for 25 years, I have averaged 2,000 miles a year. Some a little
Do
more.
you see how just
What?
having diabetes?
Well, see, the reason I like this is because my wife and I just last year, took up bike riding. Because
Oh.
with my knee problem, which I just had, that's my crutch there, by the way. My knee problem, I just had it scoped this last week. I couldn't jog or walk. I can't even walk very well. I've been limping for a long time. So we went just right down here on University, and we both bought nice, expensive Raleigh bikes. And we've been doing, I don't do 12 miles, I do like 5. But 12 miles about 4 times a week.
4 or 5.
4 or 5 times a week you do the same. So you go down here, you cross University, go on to campus,
Right.
and then go through campus all the way to West Campus, across Welborn, to the George Bush Library,
Through the research park.
through the research park,
And then back through West Campus.
and then come back. Any Purple Hearts earned on any
Oh.
of those?
I,
Man, I mean, 50,000 miles, you're not going to tell me you've always stayed upright.
if they gave Purple Hearts, I'd picked up
How
several.
many would you have had?
Several pretty.
Yeah, well, not too long
any
ago.
serious? Have you hit your head?
No.
No?
I've seen injuries though.
Any, I'll knock on wood here for you. Any broken bones or anything? Just some, you left some skin out
A
there.
leg.
Yeah.
You left a little skin out.
Mainly elbows.
Yeah, you left a little skin out on the,
When I first started, there used to be a lot of loose dogs running around.
uh-huh,
And fortunately now the leash law has pretty well
yeah.
solved that problem. But
So if they gave Purple Hearts for bike riding, you'd have earned a few more.
I'd have at least 3 or 4 I can remember.
They go to St. Paul's. I was going to interject. He is so beloved that when they have, like an event, they make a sugarless dessert for Holly.
Right.
They got him covered a lot of the time. That's
Well, do you
true.
feel as good as you look? You look great. How old are you?
Turned 80 last month.
Is that right?
I attest to his sharpness of mind.
So you were a youngster in the war, weren't you?
I went in, I was 18, and
Yeah.
all this was when I was just turned 19.
You kind of
Wow.
like Doc Cooper. He was young, and he was both sort of in World War II and Korea. He got the tail end of World War II and Korea. He was a medic. He was a doctor on ships.
If I hadn't been wounded on Okinawa,
Uh-huh.
I would have probably ended up in Korea.
Right.
I mean, I would have been in the reserves and been called back. And
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant when I said you were in Korea. I meant almost.
Yeah.
Did you know Cooper's brother?
I knew OD just
OC.
OC.
OC, excuse
Yeah.
me. OD. I knew OC just not very well. I mean,
Yeah,
I had
I-
met him a couple of times,
Was he in the war too?
and yeah,
They were
yeah,
both
yeah,
medics.
Yeah, I believe so. But I had met him a couple of times, but actually just before he about a year before he died, I guess, or something like
Yeah.
that. But
I would never pick them to be brothers. They're
yeah,
totally different
right,
personalities.
right.
I don't think they even look alike.
Yeah, no, you're right. They don't. Well, what are we missing about your?
Gaps, any gaps?
What are the highlights that we're missing here? These flags are just amazing. Do you mind if I take some of these
You can
things
take
with me and
anything.
give them back to you on Wednesday?
That'd be fine.
What we're going to do is on
When you
Wednesday.
tell me what else you want me to bring.
I'm gonna if you wanna. I'm not gonna take the flag. If you'll bring the flags, and I want to take this with me because I want to scan some of the things.
Can we show him the big honky, big old book?
Yeah.
Tell you what, I want-
This is a complete itinerary of every.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Every-
That's your experience, you mean?
This is your itinerary and assignment, so this just takes me
Oh.
right through
It doesn't-
separation.
It doesn't elaborate on the
No, but
what
this,
happened, but that's the whole story.
Did you?
all right there. Good.
You need a copy of anything? You want to send him copies or just?
I'm gonna take this with me and scan
Okay,
scan some stuff. Okay, I'm gonna take
Cool, because
this.
I didn't want to clear off our copier.
No, I've got some. And that's a nice story, but it
Okay.
doesn't say a whole lot. It's just a nice picture of you, though. But that's a good photograph. Yeah, hello, Elizabeth.
Or Betty. Yeah.
Betty, excuse me.
This is Mr. Turbiville.
Hi, Betty. How are you? My name is Tom.
Tom?
Nice to see you. Nice to see you. I'm here talking to Holly. I'm going to put him on television. How about that?
Want to shoot me?
Yeah. It's wonderful to meet you, Betty.
Where's the army book? Can I show him?
In that lower right cabinet there.
Right here?
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
This is the official Army history of
This is his
Okinawa.
Christmas
Okinawa.
present to himself. Oh yeah! Did I tell you? Do not break in his house. He will crush your skull with this.
With that.
It is a weapon. Oh, I didn't know it was embroidered like on a.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, Korea don't have a section, but
14 pounds.
oh.
That's the complete history of the Army from the Revolution through
So I
the,
was there going, oh, Korea doesn't have a section. He's like, I know. And I just
That's
stopped
quite
to
a book.
read it.
haven't had time to read it yet.
Oh yeah.
Well, you haven't.
I probably spent
Well, what have you
another-
been doing? riding your bike for.
It's just amazing size. I just thought it's.
That is, yeah.
This is-
And that's a weapon right there. That's a
Oh man.
doorstop. That's
most dictionaries aren't even as big as
no, My goodness gracious, that's beautiful. You just get this last Christmas?
For himself. Like,
Good. Well, everybody needs to do that.
yeah. Even
No,
I hate
heard
to
you.
say it, but that was made in China.
Oh, and everything made in China?
A couple of weeks ago, the Rotary Club was mounting American flags that they put out on holidays.
Right.
And those suckers were all made in China.
Yeah.
I thought that
Oh
was
yeah, I know. It's horrible. You go over to. My wife and I play a game sometimes. We go over to Hobby Lobby. She likes to shop at Hobby Lobby.
do you?
And I try to see how far I can go before I can find something that was made in the United States over there. And sometimes you can go, you can go for an hour, just look up stuff, just start looking at the bottom of
Taiwan?
things.
China?
And yeah, Taiwan, China. They don't have anything I don't think that's made in the United States over there.
Oh wow.
I was starting to comment when you were talking about your wife and you riding. The reason I took up bicycle riding is because of being shot in the foot.
Right.
That I couldn't run and jog and
Oh.
walk enough to really do any good. So, but I can sit on my tail end and ride on a bike.
Like you, see?
Yeah, that's true.
This is the Nino. And you take.
I want to. Do you mind if I take this? Because I want to take a picture of it,
Okay.
and so we can put it. I want you to bring. I'm going to bring it also. So we're going to hold it up so that, but so that everybody can get a really good look at it. I'm going to take a photograph of it, and it'll flash on the screen also. Plus, we'll hold it up also on the same on the deal. These are all of your medals.
Right.
If you can bring you don't have to bring this flag because this flag kind of trumps this flag, sort of, you know.
To me, the silk one is the
Right, that's
The
the
prize.
that's the big one, right? If you would bring this, and we already got the Purple Heart, and bring this, so you don't have to bring any of these medals. Just
Okay.
bring that and this, and the
Bayonet.
maybe both bayonets or at least the Japanese one, and that'll be good. And then I'll bring.
Grenade? No?
Yeah, you can bring the grenade if you want. That's fine too. And I'm going to take these books from you. And well, I'm taking this. I'm getting confused. Yeah, I'm going to take this. You're going to bring that and the grenade and the bayonets.
okay.
Okay.
I was reading the other
Oh
day.
yeah, I wanted to see about how we
Western
put it.
Union has stopped
They
sending
stopped doing
telegrams,
it.
but
Oh, yeah.
that's the one that they sent my mother to tell her that I'd been wounded.
The other day,
Oh.
after that story came out, I was able to find in my mother's things a congratulatory telegram when I was born.
Oh.
And I brought it to show some people in my office when that story came out about how they stopped doing telegrams now.
You know, that could be good news to a mom if she's worried about you getting killed, you know, that you're just injured and you're getting out of there.
But the ridiculous thing, I'd already called her on the phone, and she already knew I was wounded.
Official Army business.
Oh, really? I'm going to scan this just because of the news that Western Union stopped doing it, and to show that show some of these young whippersnappers what a telegram actually looked like.
Probably most of them never saw her.
No. So I've got that here. This is kind of hard to show, but I didn't know whether.
Pretty small.
Yeah, it's pretty small. We might not do that. But yeah, if you'll bring that and the bayonets and the hand grenade.
Now this is a 50 caliber shell,
Yes, sir.
and one of the closest calls that I had to getting permanent stay on Okinawa was the Marine Corps was called in to do frontline strafing, and the guy hit his trigger just a hair too soon and cut loose down through our company,
Yes.
shooting hundreds of these.
Wow.
And I was closer to a guy than I am to you that took 2 of these through the stomach,
Oh my goodness.
just cut him in 2, and all of his blood and guts splattered all over me.
Because the guy made a mistake.
You saw a lot of horror, didn't you?
That's what you call friendly fire
Yeah.
when
How
you.
did the guy survive?
No,
Oh no. I wouldn't imagine.
Oh, girl, I didn't.
he was our artillery spotter, a captain in artillery that was with the infantry company,
Right.
and he was supposed to observe
How horrible.
the artillery and tell them left, right, stuff, but it was our artillery spotter that got killed by.
And the guy had to live with what he did. Oh, how horrible.
I don't know whether he even. But the worst thing
Oh, okay.
is we had panels, kind of like oilcloth. I don't know whether you remember years ago. Used to make tablecloths and stuff before vinyl. Stuff they called oilcloth, kind of a cloth backing with a plastic covering. But these panels were orange. No connection to Austin. They just happened to be highly visible. And we had these oilcloth panels that were about 18, 20 inches wide and 6, 7 feet long. And whenever we were to have an airstrike, we rolled out these panels to label the front line. And they were supposed to know that everything that way was Japs and everything this way was us. So we had our panels out, and the Marine Corps fighter planes came zooming in, and this guy cut loose right down through our company. I don't think he hit anybody but our artillery spotter, which was one too many.
Right.
But immediately, everybody around knew what happened, and the people behind us broke out their panels and started whipping them out, marking the front lines behind us, so if they made another pass around, they weren't taking any chances on them getting strafed.
Right.
And luckily we were able to get on the radio and get things aborted before they
Right.
made another pass.
Right.
And it was probably just a split second. I mean, he wanted to get as close as he could to help us, but he just a little too soon.
My goodness. It's amazing. What a story.
But it's bad enough.
Wow.
Little 30 caliber bullets, but 50 caliber,
Yeah. Oh,
even
wow.
even worse.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, this is going to be a wonderful story. This is going to be one of our best. We've done, I want to say about we've been at it for almost a year now. We've done about 50 shows.
Seems like most of them have been helicopter pilots or
I've done some Vietnam. I've done mostly World War II. But I've done some Vietnam.
Yeah.
The gentleman that's going to be on this coming weekend is I just talked to the other day, and he was World War II. His name is Tom Browning is his name, and Don Browning is an accountant, as a matter of fact, here in town. Is his son, and he followed.
I know Don, but I don't.
Yeah, Don's father.
Don's father
is Tom Browning, and that's who's going to be on next weekend. He was a member of one of the first military police units that was formed for World War II, and he was attached to Patton's Army in Europe, Third Army, and as a lot of units were, obviously, but with his military police unit, Patton kept them right behind him. Their unit followed the headquarters company for the duration of the war, so he pretty much saw Patton's every step for the whole time that he was over there. Pretty interesting story. But we've had a lot of them. Al Hansen was one of the best ones.
Oh man,
He was a character.
Yeah, he was good.
He's so great.
He was good. 'Cause we got to repeat that, a couple of weeks ago. I guess you saw that.
Yeah, I called him. That's when I was here.
What
for
happened
the
Friday
whole
night?
oven thing.
What happened Friday night?
I don't know. Henry Deathloff was on again, and the audio.
About halfway through,
The audio went away.
went out,
Right?
and then they ended up with
Bill Adams.
Bill Adams.
Okay, is that what happened?
For the second half.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you told me that, because I turned it on at about 8:35 or 8:40, and I saw Henry Deathloff,
Yeah.
but there was bad audio, and I thought, well, they just put, because who was supposed to be on was Bill Adams. That's who was supposed to have been on, and I thought, well, they put the wrong one on, so I just turned it off. But now you're telling me that later on Bill Adams came on, right?
About midway.
About midway.
Yeah.
And you could hear it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. But then Bill Adams repeated Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
Okay. That's the way it was supposed to. It's supposed to be Bill Adams Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I don't know what happened the first week. I don't know. That's all there. All I do is show up Wednesdays and tape it, and the rest of it is in their hands.
This Friday will be
This Friday will be Mr. Browning.
and then
And your show will be
the following, or
the 17th, 18th, and 19th. Is the 17th a Friday? I think
That's
it
what
is.
you put in
Yes.
the email.
Yes. So your show will air the 17th, 18th, and 19th.
would it be possible to get a
Sure.
VCR of that?
Absolutely. I do that with every guest.
I'd
I
love
give
to
you a
have
couple of VCRs and a DVD.
Oh, great.
So I'll get you all of those. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'll get you the VCR real quick, and the DVD, they get it for me. That'll take a little while longer, but it won't be long. But I'll get you the VCR real quick after it airs.
Now let's just make this official. He said this is going to be one of the best ones, okay, for his kids.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I can
That's
tell. The
cool.
story is just wonderful, and you present it so well, and
I knew.
It's not as glamorous. Blood and guts
Oh,
and mud.
I think
Everything sounds
I think
glamorous
this flag. I
coming
think
out
this
of
flag makes it a pretty compelling story, and I think everything. No, I think first off, thank you for your service. I thank all veterans for their service, and thank you. And so Wednesday, now you got a Rotary meeting,
Right.
and that's what time? That's from 11 to 12 or 12 to
I'm
1.
going to leave early.
Okay. Well, if you're there, what time does it normally end up?
Well,
Finish?
they're through at 1,
Uh-huh.
but usually I'm there 15, 20 minutes or more.
Okay.
But I was going to come by here and put on my uniform on
Oh,
the way out to the
Okay.
studios.
Which
If
he
you
still
be-
fits his uniform.
We try to start taping at 1:30, but if you're a little late, that's fine. We'll just wait for you. But we try to tape around 1:30.
Okay.
So, and what we do is we're just sitting in. You've seen the show. It's
Right.
you're sitting in a chair and I'm sitting in a chair and we're talking to each other. And I'll flash a few pictures up on that. I'm going to scan some of this stuff. And if
And you'll kind of lead the.
yeah, I'll lead
later
the
on.
discussion, because the toughest part is getting trying to hit the highlights of the story and
You
do
can
it
get
all.
bogged down on one thing and miss
Yeah,
something
and do
else.
it all. We've got, of actual time, we've got 27 and a half minutes to talk about it.
So
But that
y'all
won't be a
edit
problem
it.
here.
It's just.
It's straight. No, there's no, we don't cut, we don't do. We start going and you talk and we just do it for 27 and a half minutes, and that's the show. it's taped, but it's like taped alive is what they call it. It's so that they just start rolling tape and we just go.
And how many guys can fit their uniform?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, probably.
He's the man.
I can't. I can't.
He's the man.
One of the things that bugs me is the people that see the picture in the paper or see my uniform hardly ever mention Bronze Star, Purple Heart, Combat Infantry Badge. The area of interest is that I'm wearing a 60-year-old uniform.
Are those awards? Are those all in your itinerary? Are those in here?
No,
The awards, but is your
the paper's on it.
is your departure?
This is the
Okay, very good.
Bronze Star and the Purple Heart orders there.
Wow, he's so organized. Can I ask you a question? Well, there's a section in the Eagle. It'd be easy to get Holly in the Eagle.
You just need to.
I talked to
you
Bill
just need to call
Youngkin.
Bill Youngkin.
I talked to him last June, I think it was.
Oh well, then you'll be in. I'm glad I'm going to get you first. Have you been in yet?
He hadn't got back to me yet.
Oh, you haven't sat down and talked to him yet.
No.
Oh
I
well.
talked to him on the phone, and
Oh, I thought you maybe like told him your story. You haven't sat
No.
down and talked to him yet.
Well, maybe.
Well, oh no, that's
Reed.
no. I know Bill. Bill's been on the show.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact.
I said,
You think it just fell through
Right.
Bill's cracks or
I
something?
wondered if he'd lost my name.
No, I bet he's got you on the list. But I'll talk to him and I'll
Oh,
make
yeah?
sure
Wait a
because.
minute.
But I'm glad. But I'm not going to talk to him until I already have you on.
Yeah, because
Because I don't want. Because yeah, he
could
could sneak
say
in.
he was on my
He
show.
could sneak in right there before. I've had about. Actually, Bill's been doing it for over a year, doing that piece, and I've been doing mine for about 10 months, and we've really only duplicated about 4 or 5 people. So he's got a lot of my people that he needs to do, and I cut that out every week. I have a file of them, so he helps me and I help him.
Well, see, as his agent and me hooking him up, I just thought he'd make my job a little easier. Like, he could take the ball, Because I am sure I'm a homeschool
You want
mom
it?
and I'm shaping America, and it's so exhausting.
Can you get away? Can you come to the taping? Would you like to?
Yeah, that'd be great.
You know where KAMU is, don't you? Do you know where KAMU is?
Let's ride together. Cause
Well, you can do that.
Like with parking. Is that cool?
Well, you'll park just right behind the station. Immediately back,
See, I'm excited.
you come in on Houston Street
Well, I have been there for
and
2
you
years.
turn left right there on the. You'll pass KAMU and take an immediate left and go back behind KAMU.
around behind.
Right behind it. And there's some parking spots right behind the KAMU building, and that's where you'll park.
Is there a
Okay,
back door to go in?
is-
Yes,
the
there's a
radius?
ramp. There's a ramp back there, and there's a back door. You'll push a little doorbell, and they'll let you in.
I've never been in the back of it.
Right.
Just ride your bike over there. Come on. Just like,
No, there's a ramp that goes up to the back door, and you'll just ring the bell there, and they'll tell them you're there to do the Veterans Show. The little speaker will come out and say, "May I help you?" and say, "I'm here to do the Veterans Show," and they'll unlock the door and let you in. I'll be there.
is the radio station there too? Or no?
KAMU radio
Yeah.
or my radio?
Oh, you're WTW.
I'm WTW.
The TV show and the radio station are in the same place?
The KAMU radio. Yeah, they're in the same building.
Okay, because I was needing to do some PR for homeschool and I
Yeah.
couldn't find it.
Were you here when WTAW was on campus?
No, sir, I'm not quite that old.
It used to be in the systems building.
Exactly. I know. We have a lot of photographs in our office about. As a matter of fact, I did a radio feature a few years ago about some fellas who have a reunion every year. They do it down in Navasota, and they are former employees of the battalion and WTAW. Back then, you wrote for the battalion and you were on WTAW. They were in the same building, so you wrote for the newspaper, and then you read what you wrote over the air on WTAW. They were sort of combined together. And there's some Tom Journay and a whole bunch of people. They get together for a reunion every year, some old battalion WTAW people. They talk about, one guy talks about all about how he was here when they filmed the movie You've Never Been Licked, and about, that was filmed on the Texas A&M campus and all that. It's pretty interesting. But well, that was a while back. WTAW's been around a while, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We used
I'm
to
proud
do
to work for them.
public service announcements.
Right.
Reading that.
Right. Well, for years we were on 1150, and now we're on 1620. And that's what I do. That's who I work for, is WTAW. That's my real job. I'm on the morning show there from 6 to 9 every morning. There's 3 of us that do a little local, 3 hours every morning from 6 to 9 on 1620, and that's what I do. So, and I do sports. I'm their sports director. I do Aggie football. I'm the sideline reporter for Aggie football, and right now I'm doing play-by-play for women's basketball, and I'm about to start baseball. So it's getting real busy for me. So
Keeps you busy.
yes, sir.
Well,
Yes,
this
sir.
is so cool. See, I can't even get the show. I can't get KBTX or that because we're Dish. We don't get local.
Dish.
I would have never seen.
She just happened to be over here
You were
Friday
over
night.
And I was doing cookies that night, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's just providential.
So where you were, they were watching it.
He was watching
Yeah,
it,
he was
and I
watching.
came to finish the cookies because I preheated the oven, and it got turned on Thursday, and we didn't know it.
Yeah,
My-
dancing on that night.
Yeah.
Oh, Al, see, I've been hanging out with
Right.
him because Ruby passed.
Right.
And she had dementia, and
Right.
Ruby had dementia, so I was kind of talking to him about what Al's going through. And so
Right.
I'm over here, and there's Al, who could make a grocery store. It sounded interesting, a grocery store trip, couldn't he?
The big challenge with Al was to try to do 30 minutes and him keep it clean the whole time. and yeah, but he did fine. He really did, because I warned him. I said, Al, this is going to be a great show, but don't get our editors all worried, you know. And he said, I'll do my best. I'll do fine. You know, he was. I tell you what about Al, he was so nervous.
Really?
As a matter of fact, I had asked. He was going to be on my first show that I did 10 months ago. He was the person I wanted to kick off the show with, was Al Hansen. But he was too, and I had him all lined up to go. And then about 2 days before, he calls me and tells me he's sick. Yes, sure he's sick.
Yeah.
And then about 3 months later, I said, Al, are you ready to do the show? He said, yeah, I guess we need to do it. That morning we were going to do it. I fell down today. I hit my head. Don't think I can do it.
Oh.
He avoided me and avoided me and avoided me. So finally, I had to go and pick him up to do the show, and he was nervous. He thought he was going to do horrible. Ended up being one of my best shows because he was just the most natural.
He's in his element.
Yeah. He was just natural.
Chances are that eventually you'll see Holly Rees on his trusty bicycle, especially if you drive around the A&M campus or the research park. Fact is that since he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 25 years ago, he's been riding that bike about 12 miles a day, 4 or 5 days a week. And you add that up, well, last January the 4th he did. And that's the day he passed 50,000 miles. All this came after a distinguished Army career, a career that was cut short June 21st, 1945, when Sergeant Holly Rees was wounded during a brutal battle for Okinawa. A ground soldier of World War II for 32 days before he was wounded. I'm Tom Turbiville. This is Bravo Brazos Valley, brought to you by Meesan Associates. Holly Rees lives just a few blocks north of the A&M campus with his wife, Betty. He can recall more than 60 years ago, took a pre-induction physical. It was D-Day. Took his first step on Okinawa April Fool's Day of 1945. Now, after D-Day, he thought that he'd be sent to the Battle of the Bulge, but it never happened.
We fully expected that we would be going in any day, being called, but went all summer and never did get the call. So a buddy and I, around September the 1st, went down to the draft board and said we were tired of waiting, and so we volunteered, and a couple of weeks later we were in the Army.
Holly Rees recalls the first time he saw all those boats. That was something for a kid from the desert.
Being a landlocked Arizonan, when I saw thousands of ships, that just blew me away. As far as you could see in any direction, there was freighters and destroyers and battleships.
Holly Rees's Company 1 of the 184th Infantry was mainly replacement troops, which means not a whole lot of training. 10 days to be exact.
Well, a lot of them didn't even get that. We were lucky that we were able to join the division in reserve and get to meet and get oriented with everybody. But we had additional replacements that came into the front line, just walked up and handed a rifle and you're in business. But we had the advantage of having 10 days with the division before we went into combat.
Okinawa. It was an important island of the Pacific effort.
Okinawa was 350 miles south of Kyushu, the southernmost island of Japan, and it was 67 miles long and 2.5 to 18 miles wide, and 640 square miles, which is only 10% larger than Brazos County, so it wasn't a big, but it was ideally located, planned to have at least a half a dozen airfields. It had 3 major harbors, and that was to be the staging area for the assault on the Japanese mainland, so that it was very strategic in location and situation.
Holly Rees was on the ground, like we said, 32 days, more than a month, a pretty much constant attack.
Day and night, the Japanese nearly always counterattacked at night, so about the time we were ready to call it a night, they were just getting geared up for a banzai attack. And luckily we had destroyers offshore that had 5-inch naval flares, and we could get on the radio and call for the lights. In the Navy, we'd lob these flares up in the air with little parachutes, and they'd flutter down, and just a steady stream of them, they could light up the night almost as bright as day. So when the Japanese were coming in under cover of darkness, we could call JASCO and get the flares coming in, and it helped our situation a whole bunch.
Sergeant Holly Rees of College Station, more of his story tomorrow. I'm Tom Turbiville for Meesan Associates. This is Bravo Brazos.
Craft carriers. Well, a lot of them didn't even get that. We were lucky that we were able to join the division in reserve and get to meet and get oriented with everybody. But we had additional replacements that came into the front line, just walked up and handed a rifle, and you're in business. But we had the advantage of having 10 days with the division before we went into combat. Okinawa was 350 miles south of Kyushu, the southernmost island of Japan, and it was 67 miles long and 2.5 to 18 miles wide, and 640 square miles, which is only 10% larger than Brazos County, so it wasn't a big, but it was ideally located. They planned to have at least a half a dozen airfields. It had 3 major harbors, and that was to be the staging area for the assault on the Japanese mainland. So that it was very strategic in location and situation.
It was
day and night.
right.
The Japanese nearly always counterattacked at night, so about the time we were ready to call it a night, they were just getting geared up for a banzai attack. And luckily we had destroyers offshore that had 5-inch naval flares, and we could get on the radio and call for the lights. In the Navy, we'd lob these flares up in the air with little parachutes, and they'd flutter down, and just a steady stream of them, they could light up the night almost as bright as day. So when the Japanese were coming in under cover of darkness, we could call JASCO and get the flares coming in, and it helped our situation a whole bunch. We had a policy that if we weren't an imminent threat just right on top of them, that if a sniper or by choice, that they would shoot us to wound us. So many of our wounded were shot in the foot like me, or in the leg, or something, and the theory was that if you were dead, they shoved you aside and went on, but if you were wounded, they had to have a medic to take care of you, take you back to a hospital and have doctor and nurses and medications, and eventually hospitals and rehabilitation. So strategically we were much more of a liability as a casualty than we would have been as a fatality. I was always very grateful for that policy. I bought into that.
Indeed he did. He came home with a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star medal. Tomorrow we'll wrap up Holly Rees' story, and we will talk about his 50,000 miles of bike riding over the last 25 years. I'm Tom Turbiville. For Meese and Associates, this is Bravo Brazos Valley.
If you are in need of legal services, please consider calling Meese and Associates Attorneys at Law. Meese and Associates, an involved community partner. Meese and Associates, attorneys who care about helping you and helping our community. Call us at 846-9608. Licensed by the State Bar of Texas, not certified by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization. Meese and Associates, attorneys at law, 846-9608.